Hey, the Mariners lost again. What else is new? At least they put up a fight this time, I guess. We'll attempt to find some positives from last night's game, talk about Matt Brash, and get you set for tonight's matchup on Locked On Mariners. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Friday, May 6th. This is the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. I am your host, Ty Gonzalez, reporter and editor over at allseahawks.com, joined as always by my co-host, Colby Patnode. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon, where we talk about the Mariners even more and also get into some non-baseball talk twice a week. Visit patreon.com/control the zone for more information on that if you are interested and want more of us. And if this is your first time joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. The Mariners now have their second 4-game losing streak in as many weeks. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the team transitioning Matt Brash to the bullpen, and we'll also get you set for Logan Gilbert's start tonight against the Rays. But Colby, let's start with last night's game. Jesse Winker and Adam Frazier getting their first home runs in Mariners uniforms. Of course, it would take the same amount of time for Jesse Winker and Adam Frazier to both get their first home runs because they are totally the same exact hitter, same exact profile, same exact power, of course. But yeah, so the Mariners lost again, unfortunately. 4-3 the score. They were down 4-0 at one point, but they were able to make some form of comeback thanks in part to Winker and Frazier's home runs. Robbie Ray started in this game. He looked solid for the most part, but did give up the 4 runs. The big one, of course, the 3-run shot by Mike Zunino, of course. What did you see out of Ray in this one, Colby?
I actually thought he was pretty good. Not great. Definitely better than his final line would indicate. You look at a lot of the hits that were given up, particularly in the one inning the Rays did any damage. A lot of soft contact. Even the Zunino home run, which turned out to be the deciding factor, wasn't hit all that hard. 98 miles an hour. It had an expected batting average of 290. It wasn't like he was getting hit around the ballpark. Weren't a ton of strikeouts, which kind of becoming a thing with Robbie Ray, and that's not really what you signed up for. But overall, I thought he was fine. I graded him very well on my game score thing. He didn't give up a ton of hard contact. He didn't walk anybody. I think he had 1 walk actually. So, I mean, nothing that would suggest that he should have given up 4 runs. In the 6 innings, the fastball, we saw him hit 95 a couple times. He was up to 94 even in his last inning. Lots of good sliders. Just not quite 100% what we wanted to see from him. Not yet, at least, but I thought he was pretty good. And like I said, in the 4th inning, exit velocities of 33 miles per hour, 83, 70, 98.4, 58.9, and 92.4. That added up to 4 runs for the Rays. That's bad luck. Plain and simple, that's bad luck. I thought Robbie Ray actually pitched pretty well last night.
Bad luck's kind of a running theme for the Seattle Mariners. They hit balls hard, they land in gloves. Other teams hit balls soft, they land on grass or sometimes even in the seats, as exhibited there by Mike Zunino. Obviously, 90 plus miles per hour off the bat is still pretty hard, but you get what I'm saying. You shouldn't be experiencing such luck as much as the Mariners are right now.
The number of fly balls that Jesse Winker has hit this year that look gone off the bat that have died, compared to what Mike Zunino did last night, is just baseball slapping Mariner fans in the face. It's cruel and it's annoying. But hey, it's part of baseball right now, and unfortunately, when you're 26 games into the year now, and you have 3 separate 4-game winning streaks or 4-game losing streaks, I mean, it's going to be pretty easy for fans to just jump to the "we suck" instead of 26 games
Yeah.
side of the argument here.
Well, and also not be able to see that there is a lot of bad luck involved here for the Mariners. A lot of balls not bouncing their way, basically. And it's it's pretty frustrating to watch on a nightly basis because the Mariners are certainly shooting themselves in the foot in certain places, in certain areas. They had some opportunities last night where they could have scored runs and
Mhm.
made this an even closer game, or tied things up, or even took the lead at one point or another, and they failed to capitalize. But also, like you mentioned, especially with someone like Jesse Winker, he's been kind of the face of the bad luck for the Mariners this year, and he just he continues to hit balls hard, and they just for whatever reason won't find grass, won't find seats. However, he did finally last night, and you messaged me right after that. That was very impressive what Jesse Winker did last night with his home run. What impressed you about that?
Well, it's off of a tough lefty. It was a pretty good pitch, and he hit it to dead center field on what
Mm,
was a pretty chilly and rainy Seattle night. That's pretty impressive in early May. Also, it was just a screamer. It wasn't a high towering fly ball that just kept carrying. It had legitimate, power behind it. It's a little bit different from his near miss home runs because these were more line drives, and his previous home runs or the balls that died were really high towering fly balls that just kind of ran out of steam. So
hmm
I don't know if he made an adjustment or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It was just a really impressive display of hitting off of what is a very, very tough lefty, um, and on
hmm
what was a pretty decent pitch from
hmm
McClanahan. It wasn't center cut; it was outside a little bit, but he still was able to turn on it and take it out to dead center. That's pretty impressive.
And I'd be remiss not to mention that his first home run as a Mariner came after he was moved down to the sixth hole. Immediately after he was moved down to
Mm.
the sixth hole.
Well,
Clearly.
thankfully, moving Julio Rodriguez ahead of him really helped the Mariners because Julio was fantastic last night as well.
Mm,
Oh,
we're gonna
hmm,
we're gonna ignore that
interesting.
part. We're gonna ignore
Imagine
that part
watching
because
Julio
it
hit last
doesn't fit
night.
my narrative. It doesn't fit
Imagine
my
watching
narrative.
Julio hit last night and thinking that guy deserves to be top four in the Mariners lineup, as somebody suggested. Yep, absolutely. Huge step back for Julio, by the way. Holy cow. Those were some really, really bad at bats.
They were not great. They were not great.
Especially the last two.
He is certainly at the
Oh
forefront
boy.
of those missed opportunities that I was talking about earlier on
Yeah.
in the show.
Nice.
Uh, yep.
But
It was not
hey,
not a red letter day for Julio Rodriguez. However,
yeah,
I am still
he'll be
going
better
to
today.
I am going to ignore that side of things because that doesn't fit my narrative here. What does fit my narrative though
Naturally.
is that my recommendation got picked up by Scott Service, who clearly listens to the Locked On Mariners podcast, and fixed Jesse Winker. Jesse
Yeah,
Winker
that
is
was
fixed,
good.
guys. You're welcome.
Oh, so okay, so go ahead and put him up in the 3 hole where he belongs then.
Hey,
No,
I
we
said to
have to
make it
put
a fluid
Julio ahead of
situation.
him.
If the results come, move him
Okay,
back
sure.
up.
Yeah, put
So
Julio ahead of him, who was the worst hitter on the team last night. But ironically, still had the hardest hit ball of the night. So there you go. By the way, we should
and
note
it was an
AU.
out. And it was an out.
It
It
was,
was
of course it was. Of
108
course
off
it was.
108 off the bat. Of course it was an out because why not?
Hmm. So yeah, the Mariners had what is this? 6 of the top 8 hard hit balls last night.
Mm,
Only 2 of them were hits.
that's fun.
One a home run and one a Suarez single that drove in a run. Eugenio Suarez hit the ball hard twice last night,
Mm,
both on the ground. One kicked off the pitcher's glove for a single. The other one was the ground ball. Had a 580 expected batting average on it. Of course, it went for an out. So I don't know. Maybe Suarez just like sitting at T-Mobile, or maybe he's making an adjustment here or there. I don't know, but
mhm.
he did have a couple hard hit balls, which is nice because holy cow, he had maybe the worst road trip I've ever seen from anybody. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there were some positive signs, I would say.
Yeah, definitely some positives here. The fact that they were actually able to make it close, that they didn't just get absolutely, obliterated by Shane McClanahan, and actually, put up some runs and brought this thing close, and they didn't get shut out. They didn't get no hit because for the first few innings there, kind of looked like maybe that's where we were heading. And yeah, thankfully they avoided that, and we saw some better production out of the Mariners. I would say this was their most admirable effort over the last 4 games, but still,
The
still not
yeah,
great.
well, you know what? I'm chalking this one up to mostly bad luck. Robbie
Yeah.
Ray was better than McClanahan. Stat line won't show it, but he went deeper, gave up fewer hard hits despite facing more batters, same number of strikeouts, fewer
Yeah.
walks. Robbie Ray was better than McClanahan last night. Just sometimes when it rains, it pours, and you don't get the ball to fall your way. And it happened to the Mariners a couple times. Like I said, 6 of the 8 hardest hit balls in play last night, 2 hits. One of them was a single. So just it's a bummer, man. It's just one of those times where it's very annoying, and I get the frustration from a lot of people, but also at the same time, what do you want them to do? Hit the ball softer?
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Zunino's home run, 10th hardest hit ball last night. 10th.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really annoying. That's really annoying. Baseball gods just frowning upon the Mariners all year long so far. So let's switch things over to the pitching for the Mariners. They obviously sent Matt Brash down yesterday, and it looks like they have a different plan for him for the rest of the year. We're going to be getting into that in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Built Bar. Summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Just throw them in your bags, in your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you are fueled for your summer adventures. And the best part about Built Bars, they are healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com and order now. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Now compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to Built.com to get all your favorites: banana cream pie, raspberry, double chocolate, and so many more. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. So check them out at Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15, to get 15% off your first order. Again, that's LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. This episode of Locked On Mariners is also brought to you by Blue Nile. Whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. Mark Mother's Day with something enduring: classic diamond stud earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, birthstone pendants, and so much more. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. Use promo code Locked On, that's LOCKEDON, plus every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. That's pretty convenient if you're like me and live 1,000+ miles away from mom. So shop stress free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. You're listening to Locked On Mariners. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. There are recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. It is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. So, Matt Brash sent down to AAA Tacoma after struggling in his last few starts yesterday. And Jerry DiPoto, talking to the media yesterday, said that the Mariners plan on transitioning him into to a bullpen role. They want him fully working as a reliever down in Tacoma, working on some things, working on his control, of course, because that was the biggest issue for him. And they want to get him ramped up here so he can be a part of the bullpen down the stretch for them this year. What do you think about this, Colby?
Not a huge fan of it. We should stress that the move was not deemed permanent by the Mariners, so it's not as if the Matt Brash as a starter experiment is done forever. But it does sound like it's probably done for this year. Obviously, there could be some injuries or some spot start type of scenario where you need him to cover innings, but They really kind of sold it like it was the Edwin Diaz situation where it's like, I mean, in a normal year we would give him a chance to work this out, but since we're in the middle of a playoff hunt, which on May 5th already admitting that is noteworthy. We're gonna put him in the bullpen, and that's kind of how they tried to sell it. Not a huge fan of this, just because you don't. It doesn't take that long to transition into a bullpen role. So it's not like this is something that they need to work with him on for 2 months before they call him up. I mean, heck, you could do it in a couple weeks if you need to. And the Mariners bullpen is in pretty good shape actually. So I would rather keep him stretched out, kind of, have that option available to you. If you don't let him start for a month and he's just bullpen for a month or so, and then you need him to start, you're probably only going to get 3 or 4 from him. At most, that's the most he'll be able to go for a couple weeks until he gets stretched back out again. So not a huge fan of it. I would prefer they just kind of keep rolling him as a starter, because again, you can call up a guy from AAA Tacoma who's a starter and put him in the bullpen and he'll be fine. And there's enough veterans in the Mariners bullpen that they could kind of, teach him on the go.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't think this means that there's no chance Brash eventually returns to the rotation, and I don't think this means that the Mariners don't view him as a starter. I don't think that's what's happening here. I just think they're pulling the trigger on this a little early. They could have waited a month, because, like I said, the bullpen's in pretty good shape, and it's going to get better. Sergio Romo's getting closer. Ken Giles a couple weeks away. It's going to be a little bit better even than it is now, and it's already been pretty good. So I would have stretched him out, and then in June, July, after I see George Kirby make a couple starts, maybe I've acquired Montes or Gallen or Merrill Kelly or whatever, right? Maybe I've acquired a starting pitcher or something.
Yeah.
Then I would start that transition, but not a huge fan of it. I get it from a win now scenario, because Brash coming out of the bullpen could be absolutely filthy and a game changer. I think it's a little too early to pull this trigger.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I do understand why they did it, and I fully acknowledge the possibility that he could return to the rotation next season. But doing this now and basically foregoing a full year of development for him stretched out, and instead having him, work in a bullpen role where he's throwing harder than he would as a starter, where he's taxing his arm a little bit more. That's not super ideal to me.
Yeah.
Especially when you have so little pitching depth right now behind your top 5 at the major league level. Because right now you have Daniel Ponce de Leon down in Tacoma, but he's not a 40-man guy. You have Justice Sheffield, who the Mariners might not trust to start
Clearly
right now.
They don't.
Yeah. George Kirby, who knows if he would perform better than Brash. We think so, but you never know. He's a rookie pitcher as well that doesn't have but he's a rookie pitcher that doesn't have any major league seasoning. Same with Levi Stout. You have Riley O'Brien, but who knows if they only see him as a reliever. So it's just, there may come a time where, Matt Brash didn't give you a chance to win the last few starts that he made, but there might be a time where he's your only option, or he would have been your only option to start. Or at least gives you the most upside out of your options. If injuries pile up or what have you, it's just, and I think that in the end says more about the state of the Mariners right now than anything. But still, given how things are currently situated, it's a little awkward to me doing this right now and saying, yeah, he's just going to be a reliever for us for the year. And look, I get it. A lot of starters have done this before, guys that have turned into starters. Chris Sale was a reliever for his first 2 seasons in Major League Baseball, and developed into one of the most dominant starters in baseball for a good stretch there. We also of course saw it with Edwin Diaz, where he turned into one of the best relievers in baseball after they fully transitioned him. And I'm not saying that Matt Brash couldn't be a weapon. And honestly, he's probably going to be more useful to the 2022 Mariners as a reliever than as a starter. Way more useful. But to do it right now at the start of May and not even let him stretch out a little bit down in Tacoma and see if he can work through his issues that way. And maybe, maybe he figures some stuff out and then they could bring him back up and he could be a part of the rotation. Like, this just feels way too early to do this. I think it was inevitable that it was going to happen. I'm totally fine with the idea of him coming out of the bullpen at some point this year, but to do it right now, when you've only played 26 games, I think that's too quick of a trigger pull there by the Mariners, and I kind of, I don't know. I'm not necessarily worried about Brash and his development, but because again, we've seen guys like this be able to, work as a reliever for a couple of years, then transition back to the rotation. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't seem ideal doing this early and taxing his arm like this, because he is going to throw harder. Naturally, he's going to throw that slider harder, and there's been some concerns about his durability because of his size. So I also kind of worry a little bit about that, and maybe putting too much on him right out of the gate here. But we'll see how it goes. The Mariners, of course, and Jerry DiPoto and Andy McKay and all those guys, they of course know a lot more than we do about this situation. So I'll put my trust in them. And they've been pretty good with their pitching development decisions. I just, from the outside looking in, though, I do have concerns about it, and I'm a little confused as to why it happened so early. But I did expect it in the end, so I guess it doesn't matter in the end if we're just here at the inevitable. All right, so we got Logan Gilbert on the bump tonight for the Mariners, and hopefully that gives the M's a pretty good shot of getting over this 4-game losing streak. We'll see. We'll talk about it in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder: this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's run to the Roses as the Kentucky Derby is back. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. So, Colby, we got Logan Gilbert on the bump. He's still been fantastic. He's only given up 2 earned runs up to this point this season. He's coming off of a AL Pitcher of the Month award. What are you hoping to see out of Gilbert in his second start against the Rays this year?
To be a little crisper with his control than he has been the last 2 times out. Hasn't really affected him yet, but we are talking about 7 walks in his last 2 starts. That's playing with fire, particularly with a lineup as good as Tampa's is. So, I want to see him be more aggressive in the strike zone. It'd be nice to see, the slider really work. It was, the off-speed stuff wasn't bad last time out. In fact, the off-speed stuff was better than his fastball even in Miami, and it's really what allowed him to go 5 2/3 while only giving up a run. But I would like to see him really control the fastball, keep that off-speed stuff where it was last time out, and maybe this time let's get through six full innings. It's kind of the one thing Gilbert hasn't done. He hasn't gotten amazingly deep into games, 5 2/3 a couple times. I think 6 innings once. Let's get to 6 tonight. Let's ease off some of the pressure on the bullpen. It is in pretty good shape right now, so that's good.
Yep.
But again, you're probably not going to have Seawall tonight. I mean, he only threw 16 pitches, but we'll see if they want to use him back-to-back so soon after his COVID issue. By the way, quick side note on Paul Sewald last night. The Rays swung at 4 of his pitches. They missed all 4. So 100% whiff rate, baby. He's got to control the fastball. He has to throw for strikes. Kind of struggled with that in Tampa and Miami. It wasn't so bad that it ruined his outing, but it did create, unnecessary traffic and unnecessary pitch count issues. So control the fastball, throw for strikes, and just kind of maintain the breaking stuff you've had over the last 2 starts. and Gilbert could go 6 or 7 of really quality baseball tonight. But it all comes down to that fastball control.
Yeah, and to your point, walks have been a little bit of an issue for him as well here over the last couple starts, and they weren't an issue for him in his first few starts before the the Tampa start that he had. 7 walks in his last few starts. Would like to see that go down. Would like to see him be able to put hitters away earlier on in the count. It would be beneficial for him to finally get deeper into a ball game here and give the Mariners 6, 7, 8 innings, hopefully, because we haven't really seen that a lot from Gilbert. So just being able to put guys away quicker, I would say, is the key for me with Gilbert tonight.
Only gone more than 6 innings in one of his starts this year. So
the thing, so the thing that we need to mention here for folks watching who might not know, the game tonight is not going to be on Root Sports. It is going to be on Apple TV Plus. You do not have to have an Apple TV subscription to watch it, though. It is free to watch. You just have to have the app. And it's on everything. It's on video game consoles, it's on smart TVs, it's on your laptop. You can watch it pretty much anywhere that you have a device. But yeah, you do not need a subscription for it, which is the good thing. It's still annoying, though, that you have to go on their silly little platform to watch the baseball game. But so that's just a quick heads up there for folks that might tune into Root tonight and not see the game on and wonder what's going on. So who do we have going for the Rays tonight? Do you know? Because yesterday it said Shea McClanahan again for the second time in a row, which that would be something to see.
Yeah, it is Matt Whistler. So the same formula, I believe.
Okay.
I believe Gilbert's previous start against Tampa was also a bullpen day.
Mm-hmm.
And Whistler,
the one game that the Mariners won. Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Whistler is going to throw a lot of sliders. I know. It's.
That's really going out there. That's quite the bold prediction.
It is, man. It is. I think he's probably going to lean heavily on that slider. Should probably go up there and not even look for anything but the slider.
What's the slider rate at? Isn't it like 80-something% or something crazy like that? Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm pretty sure it's in the high 70s or low 80s. So screw the fastball. If he can throw 3 fastballs down the middle in a row, then fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But anything that starts on the outer third of the plate, you should probably just take because it's probably going to break outside. So we were off.
Okay.
He has thrown a total of 202 pitches this year. 188 have been sliders, 93% slider. So you should probably go up there and hunt the slider. That'd be my suggestion. Do whatever you want.
I don't know, man.
I know.
7% of the time he's not throwing that slider, so you gotta watch out for that 7%.
By the way, last year 91% of the time slider. So I think maybe you might get the slider. So maybe be aggressive on that. By the way, if you're an MLB TV guy, you still have to watch the game on Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called. So
I am an MLB.
It's the only place you can
guy.
watch it. Yes.
Yeah. I would assume that I can watch it on my phone because I'm going to be in Toronto tonight, so I'm not going to be at home. But I would assume that I can watch it. Yeah.
Going to the premiere.
Big city Ty.
Yeah.
I'm going to see
a movie premiere.
Yeah. Movie premiere. I'm gonna get all dressed up, which is to say, I'm just going to wear this shirt. And yeah,
you should at least wear a bow tie.
I mean, yeah, I could just right around my neck.
Yeah.
I don't think a bow tie would work with this shirt. There is no button after.
You could wear one of those really thick ties.
Oh, okay, yeah.
From the 90s, yeah. Yeah, and a top hat, of course.
Of course.
Have to wear a top hat. Yes. When you go to the theater, you have to wear a top hat.
Theater. And that's spelled with an R before the E because, of course, I am.
Classy.
well, and also Canada,
That's true.
because
Good point.
Canada has to be special with everything. We go to the Rogers Centre, not the Rogers Center, when we go see a baseball game.
Call it what you want. It's still ugly.
It is. Apparently, they're making some changes in the next 5 years or something like that. They have a plan to.
Ooh.
They use the words, "We want to turn it into more of a ballpark," which, I mean, that would be my hope when you're building a baseball stadium, is to make it more like a ballpark. Yeah. When that has to be your focus for your remodeling plan, you did something wrong when you built the stadium, I would say. Yeah. For those that don't know, I am not a fan of the Rogers Center. It is not a great baseball experience, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to experience that for 3 days next week when the Mariners come up here. But who cares? Because it's my first time seeing the Mariners for the first time in 3 years, so
Are you
I am
going to all
happy
three?
whatsoever. Absolutely. You know it. Dude, I haven't seen the Mariners in 3 years. Of course I'm going all 3 times.
Just wait until they get swept in Toronto, guys, and it'll all be Ty's fault.
Okay. No, they
Although
they
last
have
time
played.
you were there, wasn't
You say
Paxton
Kikuchi
throw the no-no?
Well, no. The last time I was there, Yusei Kikuchi had like one of his 3 best starts in a Mariners uniform.
Is that the 9-inning like one run?
Yeah,
or is that
it was like a 1-run 9-inning game, like a complete game. Yeah,
complete game?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the time before that is when you saw the Paxton no-no, right? 2018.
Yes, yeah. I saw the Paxton no, and then
So there you go.
they lost with Wade LeBlanc on the bump the next night. That was frustrating. D. Gordon got hurt, and that basically, like, he was off to a great start, and then that
he
just
got hit in the
derailed
wrist.
everything. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
Jay
that
Happ.
derailed everything. Yeah, and then that derailed everything for D. And then the next night, Kyle Seager hit a grand slam. That was fun. That was fun to watch. So it wasn't all
Kyle
bad.
Seager probably wouldn't be playing in today's game in this year's game. Anyways, by the way, that's something to keep an eye on, guys. Not going to provide any commentary for this, but remember that Toronto, Canada is requiring visiting players to be vaccinated. So if a Mariner magically goes on the restricted list before they head out to Toronto,
Yeah.
draw your own conclusions, but that's what it means.
Yeah.
That is something to keep an eye on. So, and at this point, it's too late. I mean, so
yeah,
we'll see.
That's gonna be weird too, right? Because I think they go to New York first, then go to Toronto, then go back into the U.S. to go play Boston. So same road trip. They're gonna have to maybe do some maneuvering there with the roster. We'll see how that goes. But that's a discussion for another day down the line. Right now, our focus is on the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Mariners need to get back in the win column. That would be nice. That would behoove them to win some baseball games against some good baseball teams. Start doing that a little bit more often. I would like to see them. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Colby. I'm going to say that I would like to see them score more runs than the other team tonight.
I believe they're undefeated when they do that, so that would be a good strategy.
That's a good stat. You should tweet that out.
I'll have to run
Might
the
get some
numbers,
likes.
but I'm pretty sure they're undefeated. So.
Yeah, you might get some clout for that. I mean, someone will still
Good.
yell at you for some reason, but yeah.
All
right, so that's that's gonna do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Look at you. For Colby Batnode, who is just absolutely thrilled right now, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, it's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every day. We greatly appreciate your support. Now make your second listen of the day, the Locked On MLB podcast. That's where Paul Francis Sullivan, and please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the Major League's present and past. It is free wherever you get your podcast, just like us. So have yourself a beautiful baseball weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Go M's. Please win a ball game. Thank you. Bye.